So, hello and welcome. And here we are in the fifth meditation connected to the teachings on the Kalama Sutta, which are phenomenal ethical teachings of the Buddha, though they're not called ethical by him. They're called how to know for yourself what to do and what not to do. And so it has a much bigger, wider meaning than the English word ethics. It's about our whole life. And the final criteria has to do with happiness and the stepping away from the activities that bring about the opposite of happiness. That is called, usually in English, Buddhist English, is called suffering. Some people translate the word as stress. So to sit with a happy orientation towards happiness. It's not easy to be happy sometimes, but it is possible to be happy. And it's possible to start appreciating that happiness, the path to happiness, begins not by everything in the world being perfect, not by somehow a magic pill or a magic wand that somehow gives us a state of happiness. It begins by how we act in our mind, in our hearts, and that we learn slowly perhaps, very little steps, maybe baby steps. The next moment, to engage it, to do an act of knowing, of awareness, of showing up, of being present, that the very way of doing it we appreciate, the very way we do it kind of is done in a calm, nice, maybe even a way that brings us some deep satisfaction or joy or happiness. It's an amazing, amazing capacity that human beings have to be aware, to be conscious. And all too often we fill awareness, fill consciousness, fill thoughts with preoccupations, judgments, concerns, reactions, that we don't really appreciate the miracle of being aware, the miracle of mindfulness. And it is something that we contribute to. It's not like we sit and wait to be aware, exactly. But there's a way in which we participate. We step into awareness. We engage with the present moment. We say, yes, here, I'll be here. In this amazing miracle, this amazing phenomena that we appreciate independent of the crowded concerns we fill our consciousness with, fill our thoughts and awareness with. To step away, step back from those concerns, to appreciate the very act of being present and contributing to the next moment of presence, next moment of awareness, with what could be maybe be called a yes, a kind of gentle enthusiasm for being present now, being aware now, where being aware is more important than what you're aware of. So to assume a meditation posture, and gently close your eyes. And if you're a long time meditator, meaning you've meditated for a few years now, perhaps the meditation posture is familiar to you. Assuming the meditation posture, closing your eyes and feeling it, is a homecoming. Maybe it's a good place. Maybe there's some happiness in putting aside the concerns of the day, of life, to be here, present for your immediate experience, the simplicity of now and this body at this time, where there's nothing to do that you have to do at this moment. Things can wait. Taking some gentle, appreciative breaths. Taking some fuller breaths to appreciate more fully the amazing process of breathing and being in a body. And in a way that is good for you, maybe even enjoyable. As you exhale, soften your body. And letting your breathing return to normal. And with the support of breathing, with the sensations that come alive with each in-breath and out-breath, be aware of the present moment. Be aware of breathing with a very simple yes. Very simple appreciation of this ability to be aware. Putting aside trying to do something with meditation, so you have more space in the mind to appreciate how each moment, the next moment, you can step into it with a yes to being aware. Simply, relaxedly. Maybe how fortunate it is to be able to choose awareness. Choose to be aware. perhaps you can appreciate stepping into this moment fully in the miracle of being aware by letting there be a slight smile on your lips, just enough maybe to bring you a little bit of delight. And that delight informs how you're aware the next chance you wake up. In meditation, you are allowed to be happy. And maybe there's something about here and now. Maybe the simplicity of being mindful and present. There's something about being alive that provides you with some joy or happiness. Or maybe there's more well-being than you avail yourself of. As we continue, avail yourself of the well-being or happiness that seems natural enough to occur. If you're really present for it here and you're for no reason except for being alive and breathing and being mindful. as we come to the end of this sitting, to notice, are there any ways that you're calmer than when you started? More settled? Any ways in which you feel more comfortable in your body, mind, and heart? And is there anything about how you are now that could support you to feel happy? Happy at least that you're like this now. Happy for what you've seen and learned. Happy for your state. Happy to have a practice of mindfulness, meditation. Happy to have a practice you can bring with you into your life. Are there simple, ordinary ways that you can feel happy now as you breathe, as you feel yourself more fully in this body? As you sense the space around your body out into the world, and radiating from your body into the world, imagining you can share happiness, well-being, and well-wishing with all beings. And if it can help you feel happy for your own good capacity for goodwill, offer well-wishing. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. And on this day, as you go forth into the world, may it be that your ability to be present and attentive, awake to the world, may it be that it makes room for all of us to experience more simple happiness. And may we share our simple happiness with others. Thank you. welcome to this final and fifth talk on the Kalama Sutta, the Buddha's teachings to the Kalama people, and where he offered an alternative to searching for spiritual truths in the abstractions, or to rely on other people or other books to experience, to tell us what the truth is. For the Buddha, the truth that he was most interested in was practical, was immediate, was what we can experience for ourselves and know for ourselves experientially. And for that purpose, he offered 5 experiential criteria, or close to experiential criteria. He offered, is what you're doing? What you could know for yourself is whether what you're doing, is it wholesome or unwholesome? Is what you're doing, is it, do you experience it as being faulty or not faulty? Somehow off or not off? Is what you're doing, is it something that you're proud of, or does it match your degree of self-respect that's known through the eyes of the people you most respect? If they know what you're doing, would they appreciate that, or would they not? And then, is it bringing about harm? Is it harming someone, yourself or others? Or is it bringing out greater welfare, well-being? And the final criteria is, does it involve suffering? Or does it involve happiness? Does it bring suffering, or does it create more suffering? Does it bring happiness? And and this is kind of one of the primary characteristics, experiential values of Buddhism, to the capacity to experience a profound sense of well-being, of happiness, and to be free of the opposite, to be free of a certain kind of emotional pain that arises because we're attached, because we're clinging, grasping, because we're holding on to something, that things have to be this way or no other way. Sometimes what we cling to is the truth. This is true. This is the truth. And maybe it's true, but the grasping to it, the attachment to it, is suffering, is stressful. It is possible, if something is true, to hold it not in a tight fist, but hold it with an open hand, and let it rest in that open hand. So it's not a weapon, it's not something that we close down around, but it's offered to the world, to ourselves, kind of lightly and freely. We don't have to desperately cling to what is true. And the truth that the Buddha was focusing on in this Kalama Sutta was the truth of what we can know for ourselves in direct experience. And we can know for ourselves when we're suffering, when we're clinging and holding tight. And and we can know for ourselves what it's like not to cling, not to grasp, to open up, and to breathe freely. The hand is kind of happy if it's open and relaxed and kind of at ease. The word sukha, which I'm translating here as ease, in some as happiness, in some context is translated as ease, and dukkha, translated as suffering, in some context is called dis-ease, kind of a psychological, spiritual dis-ease, and the alternative of that is a spiritual, psychological ease that we have as we go through our lives. And the whole point of Buddhism, the Buddha's teaching, is to bring suffering to an end. Oddly enough, he doesn't say the goal of Buddhism is to be happy, though someone who has brought suffering to an end is described as a happy one. But that's not the goal, in a sense, because that makes it a thing. It makes it too easy to kind of have some idea of what it's supposed to look like. But what it's supposed to look like is the absence of suffering and the relief, the ease, the well-being that comes from that. And then we allow it to be what it is. We don't need to have any criteria for what this deep sense of ease, well-being, happiness is. Maybe in different context situations, it's very different what that feels like. Our life is varied and life is challenging. And so what the forms and shape this ease and happiness takes varies from situation to situation. But if we have some idea that there is a tight idea of what happiness is and supposed to be like, then we might actually be limiting ourselves from the full range. And so to study, to be able to notice, am I suffering or am I happy? And this is a very honest self-assessment. And what some people find very inspiring, that this is a practice where we honestly show up and recognize, I'm not happy, I'm suffering, I'm stressed right now. And that's sitting down or standing and really taking some moments to really, yes, this is what is happening. Not to be collapse under the weight of it, not to, have self-pity around it or be caught in it or believe in it necessarily, but this noble thing of stepping up and saying, yes, look at this, and kind of be grounded and centered and calm and in a wholesome way, in a beneficial way, in a way that the wise people in your life would appreciate, that how honest you are, how present you are, this is what's happening, I'm suffering. Someone say, wow, that person is suffering, but they didn't seem to mind so much. They seem to be able to take a stand and be fully there in the midst of that, rather than living under the weight of it. So how are you showing up for suffering? And so this idea of criteria, are you happy or suffering, is not so that we drown in our suffering, but we can wake up to it. We can be honest about it and clear. And in that clarity, in that showing up, in that stepping into the fact, oh, look at me, I'm suffering, almost as if you're opening your arms, yes, this is what's happening. Simultaneously, you're beginning to make space, room for happiness, for well-being, and for ease. One of the real key aspects of mindfulness practice is to be so mindful, so fully present, that when you're suffering, you are not the sufferer. Rather, you really have a clear sense, this is a mind with suffering. This is a heart with suffering. This is what it's like to be alive with suffering, with the implication there's so much more here than the particular suffering we have. The very fact that you can be mindful of it means that part of you is not suffering, the part that's clearly mindful and present. There's always going to be parts of you which is not suffering if we don't identify or get too preoccupied or caught in what's difficult psychologically. Then it can seem like this is who I am. But there's no need to define ourselves or to see this is who I am. This is the magic of mindfulness. That with mindfulness, you'll always recognize, with strong mindfulness, that whatever you're feeling in the moment, in terms of suffering, does not define you. But you're honest about it. This is being alive with suffering, accompanied by suffering, having pieces of suffering at the same time. You're always bigger than your suffering. There's always more. And this idea of being mindful is kind of stepping into the fullness of who we are. Yes, I am suffering, or better, because of what I'm saying today, there is suffering here. Look at this. And in that movement of there's ease, there's space, and there might even be a little light. There might even be a smile. It's possible to smile, and then recognizing that you're suffering, you're recognizing the mind's peculiar foibles, difficulties that the poor mind has. So it's possible to know for yourself. It's possible to know for yourself a path to freedom, a path to happiness, a path to the wholesome, a path to what's beneficial. It's possible to find it moment by moment. And to be your own teacher that way makes a world of difference. And so becoming part of the purpose of mindfulness is more and more and more become your own teacher, so you find your way to freedom, to happiness. You know how the practice does it. The practice becomes your own. It doesn't become someone else's practice. And if the Buddha came along and said, I changed my mind. You can stop being mindful, stop being aware. You would just say, well, maybe that's right for you, but I know for myself that this practice of showing up with mindfulness really makes a difference. It's much better than the alternative. So, thank you. And I hope that this Kalama Sutta teaching is been meaningful for you. And it's certainly one of the, I think, very powerful teachings that come down to us from this ancient tradition. Thank you.